there, I'm Sarah White from ourdailycraft.com, and today I want to show you how to make this double crochet stitch coaster. Now, if you've been following along, I have previous videos where I did this one in single crochet and this one in half double crochet, and so now we're going to look at doing the same thing but with double crochet. So if you've never used double crochet stitch before, we'll talk through how that works, and because we have the whole set here, it's easy to see the difference between the single crochet, which is tight and the rows are pretty small, to half double crochet, which is a little bigger, a little more open, and then the double crochet where you can actually like see through it a little bit better. It's taller. My coaster here is actually just a little bit bigger than the other ones, which is fine. Because the stitches are taller, it came out a little bigger. But you can do a whole set in one stitch or a combination of the stitches, and it's just a fun way to practice and make something useful for your home that doesn't have to be totally perfect. If your edges are a little weird or you lose a stitch along the way, it will still work for your jinks. So I'm going to talk you through this entire project, and what you'll need first of all is some yarn. We use cotton yarn for these because of its absorbency and ease of washing. This is a Lily Sugar and Cream, which is what I used for the sample as well. I'm just using this fun blueberry color for the tutorial here. The important thing here is that you want a medium or 4 weight of yarn, and that you want cotton. So that's what you should look for in the store. If you don't find this exact yarn, then this yarn is probably the most accessible cotton yarn out there. You can find it in big box stores and at your craft stores, and it's inexpensive, comes in a ton of colors, so it's great to use for this, and you can get a whole set of coasters out of one ball of yarn. In addition to the yarn, we'll need a crochet hook. For this one, we are using a size 8H 5mm, whatever variety you like. If you're new to crochet, this is just a boy needle from the craft store. And then we'll also need a pair of scissors for trimming our ends and a yarn needle for weaving in the ends when we're finished. So to start any crochet project, you need a chain. So to start the chain, we also need a slip knot. So I like to leave, 6 inches or so of a tail, and then I will take my yarn and loop it over itself. I like to say that this makes like a lowercase e, and then you take the yarn that's attached to the ball and pull it up through that hole. Then you can pull on the tail ends and close it up, and it makes a knot with a loop. This loop then will go on your crochet hook, and then you can pull on the yarn to cinch it up. We don't want it to be super tight. It should be able to flow on the needle, on the hook, excuse me. More of a knitter than a crocheter, so I use the wrong word sometimes, but it should flow easily on the hook, not be so tight that you can't move, but not so loose that it just flies off of your hook either. Now we're going to need a chain. So to start your chain, you take the yarn that's attached to the ball over your hook, and then you just pull through the loop that's already there. So that's one chain. Again, 2 chains over the loop, over the hook and through the loop. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oops. If you drop it, just put it back on. 10, 11, 12, 15, 14, 15, and 16. So you can see that I tried to keep those stitches pretty even and pretty loose so that I'll be able to work into them to make my first stitches. Now, with double crochet, some people do the turning chain as 2 chains and some people do 3, and so that does change where you start on the project as well. So if you're doing 2 chains, you would go into the 3rd, because then there's 1, 2, right? And if you're doing 3, you would go into the 4th. So I'm going to go ahead and just do 2 because I feel like for this yarn weight that works for and gives you enough height for the stitches. So to do a double crochet, then you start with a yarn over, taking the yarn over the hook, and then like I said, we're going to go into the 3rd. So this is 1, 2, 3, and go in to the V from front to back. Then you take the yarn over again and pull that through the chain back to the front. Then we're going to go yarn over again, pull through just 2, yarn over again, and pull through 2. Let's do that again. So the yarn goes over first, and you go into the middle of the V from front to back, take the yarn over the hook again, pull that through, and you've got 3, yarn over again, pull through 2, 2 remain, yarn over again, pull through the last 2, and now you've just got 1. When you get going at it, double crochet is really fast. It's probably my favorite of the basic stitches because I feel like you can really get into a rhythm with it, with the pulling through 2 and pulling through 2. So once you get some practice with it, you will find it fast. And also because the stitches are so tall, it can go really fast. Like the project made in double crochet fabric goes really fast because 1 row is so tall. Double crochet is great for a lot of different kinds of projects if you're new to it. It's good for things that don't need to be completely solid. So maybe if you're making a sweater for summer or a tank top that you'll wear something underneath, so those holes don't matter as much. Then double crochet is a great one if you want a blanket that's not super hot but still gives you some warmth. Double crochet is a good choice, and it's again fast, so it's good for large projects like that because you'll feel like you're making progress faster than you might otherwise. We're almost back to the end here. So once again, we're gonna yarn over, go into the loop, back to the front, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I've got 1 stitch left. And we don't work into the knot there. So there's our first row of double crochet. And just as I was saying about how tall it is, if we compare it to the single crochet, you know, this little V is a row of single crochet. And so you can see where it gets its name because it is like twice as tall as a single crochet stitch. Now we've made it to the end of the row. So what we need to do next is our turning chain. The chain gives you the space that you need to make the stitches on the next row. As I said, some people like to do a chain of 2 and some do a chain of 3. I like 2 for this weight of yarn. If you turn it back on itself, you can see that it's kind of similar in height to the stitches. So you do those 2 chains and then literally just flip your work over, and you can work back across on in the same way that we did before. The only difference is when you're not working in the chain, you're just working in the stitches. Instead of going into the middle of the V like we were doing, you're going to go under both legs of the V. So I'll show you how that works. Yarn over, go under the V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2. And that is how you work it across on every row to follow. We only have to work into the V's on that chain when we're working in the chain because there aren't any stitches to build from. There's no underneath the chain because the chain is all there is. So we'll just continue to work across in this row, and then that's the pattern. You do your turning chain at the end and work back another row and back and forth until your piece is roughly square. You can see from how much fabric we've got already that this is going to be a really fast project. We could probably sit here and chat while I finish it, but I'm going to go ahead and just finish this row and then take a break and come back and show you how it looks when it's done. But you can see how quick and easy double crochet can be. And there's our last stitch. Pull through there, and then again I'll chain 2 at the end, and then turn, and we'll begin the next row. But there already, if you just compare this to the finished one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows left, so this will not take long, which is the fun of using double crochet also, is that any project, especially a small project, is going to be lightning fast. So I am going to finish it up and come back here and show you how to finish your project when we're done. I'm just finishing up my last row, and I wanted to show you a little more closely how you end a row, because sometimes people have trouble, especially in double crochet. It seems like it's a little hard to know where your last stitch is. And so you can see that this here is the chain, and this is the stitch from the previous row. So we're going to end with our last stitch in that stitch and not make one in the chain. So that makes the edge so you're not adding stitches as you go. So we've got a piece now that's basically square, and we're just going to finish off the project now. So now's the time for those scissors. We're going to leave a little bit of a tail for weaving in, and then we're just going to pull the yarn through that last stitch to close it off. Now we need to weave in the ends, which is how we finish off the project so that the stitches won't unravel and we don't have these tails hanging around. So now we need our yarn needle, and we're just going to thread that yarn end onto the needle. We're going to take the needle through a few stitches here on the edge and pull through. You want to make sure that you're not pulling so tight that that corner gets distorted. And then we're just going to work through a few stitches in and out, following the yarn. And you just want to make sure that it's gone through a few stitches. You can change direction and go up and down, in and out, different places, just to make sure that it's nice and secure in there. And then when I'm done with that, I like to kind of give it a little tug just to make sure that everything's even in the tension, and then you can just snip off the end. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Thread our needle. And then you can go down the side here, or you can go across the top. You can, there's not like a preferred method. I mean, everybody has their own way that they do it, but there's not a rule. exactly how to do it or where to go. The main thing is just to get it through a few stitches. So that it's nice and secure. And there you have a double crochet coaster. You could use this as a little Afghan square if you wanted to just make a whole bunch of them in different colors. You could sew them together and make a blanket, a placemat, a table runner, whatever out of this. And of course you can combine those with the single crochet and half double crochet from the previous ones, and make a whole set of coasters. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Have a crafty day.